Good evening, everybody. Happy Sunday. I hope everybody had a lot of fun watching football today between teams that are not the Seattle Seahawks. We did get a bit of help today. We watched the Ravens beat the 49ers at the gun, meaning that tomorrow night's game will have even higher stakes. If we win, we will be in control of the NFC West in first place. As it is, we already control our destiny, of course, so it's not the biggest deal in the world, but it will be nice to see us at number one in the division should we come out on top. Did not get help from the Cardinals. They could have basically ended the Rams season today. They failed to do so. The Rams, their offensive line looks a lot better lately. And I don't want to say I fear them. I don't. I really believe they're going to at least lose to the 49ers. They might lose to us. But they do look a little better on that offensive line. So I'm keeping my eye on them. I really want them to lose that one more game. Carolina lost, which officially just wipes them out. If you had any concern about them sneaking up and stealing a wild card spot, it's over. So, we got a little bit of a hand. The Eagles lost. The Eagles are done. I guess you could throw them in as well. But other than that, everything kind of went as scheduled, as expected, and now we just need to take care of our business tomorrow. The good news is it sounds like we're going to have basically everybody accounted for tomorrow. We were all worried about Clowney. It sounds like Clowney's going to play. Reed sounds like he's going to play. Al Wood sounds like he's going to play. Michael Kendricks, Tyler Lockett, Puna Ford. Basically, everybody we were concerned about not having this Monday night, it sounds like they're going to go, which is huge. Especially the Clowney, Reed, Woods, Puna Ford thing, because this Vikings team is going to run the ball all game long, in my opinion. My expectation, excuse me, is that the Vikings come out tomorrow night and lean heavily on Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook has been one of the best running backs in football so far this year. I have watched many games where he has run all over the opposing team. Um, his stats were not great against the Dallas Cowboys. I think he ended up with like 27 carries for 97 yards. But during the meat of that game, he was grinding on the Cowboys. They also had success in a lot of their early games this year. I think the Raiders, they ran the ball a lot, the Falcons, and this is good news for us, of course. Looks like we're dodging Adam Thielen tomorrow. There will be no Adam Thielen on the Vikings. So that's important. That takes a lot of the pressure off of our secondary because now their only elite pass catcher is Stephon Diggs, who is very good, but Adam Thielen was their best receiver and is actually one of my favorite non-Seahawks players in the whole league. I love Adam Thielen, but they don't have him, so their passing attack becomes Diggs, 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 and then you got a little bit of maybe like Treadwell, but who isn't very good, and Kyle Rudolph, who is coming on strong lately. But I don't expect the Vikings to pass the ball very much unless they feel like they have to. I expect a lot of carries for Dalvin Cook. And last week when we played the Eagles had a little bit of success on the ground against us, more than most teams. And I think a big reason why was we didn't have Clowney, and as that game went on, we didn't have Reed and we didn't have Puna. They both got hurt in that game. And all three of those guys are crucial for our run defense. So one thing I was thinking to myself this whole week was if we don't have Clowney, Reed, and Puna, Dalvin Cook is going to run the ball all over the field against us tomorrow. So I'm really glad those guys are all going to be okay. It's not going to be like last year. Last year, the Vikings' offensive line was a train wreck, and that was one of the many things we exploited to keep the Vikings to only 7 points when we played in Seattle last year. The Vikings' offensive line is better this year, and Kirk Cousins, especially over the last maybe 2 months, has been playing, for the most part, some inspired football. He hasn't been the guy who has crumbled against good, decent teams. He hasn't been the guy who has crumbled in important games. He's been doing some really good stuff lately, and after a few games earlier this year when people were really questioning him, he's put it together. And even without Thielen, because Thielen's missed a lot of games this year, Kirk Cousins has looked like a different guy. But Dalvin Cook is my first priority in this game, and I'm glad we're going to have all the troops. We can put Shaquille Griffin on Stephon Diggs if he ends up killing us, and I trust Griffin to be able to play well in that matchup. Hopefully, we can build on the pass rush that we've seen over the last two games against the 49ers and the Eagles. And, my question is, how effective are these guys going to be, especially with Clowney? I am concerned about that sports hernia that he supposedly has. Even if he can play, how good is he going to be? Is he going to be the guy that we've seen over the last 3 months? And we're not going to know. We're not going to know for a few games. But I am concerned about that. I am holding my breath every time I see him out there in a way because I know the sports hernia is unlikely to go away on its own. We are just hoping it doesn't become severe until the season is over. So we're kind of playing Russian roulette with that right now. I don't feel great about it, but we need him out there, period, both for the run defense and the pass rush. We need both those things working tomorrow. We need both those things going forward for the rest of this season. None of it works without Clowney, in my opinion. So that's our defense. I don't feel stellar about it. I'm not going to lie. I like this Vikings offense a lot. I like it less with Adam Thielen, but I think the Vikings are going to put up points tomorrow. So what I really need, and the number one most important thing for me tomorrow, is Russell Wilson needs to get back on track in a big way. And after two lackluster games and one game where you can honestly say he was kind of not good, I need Russell Wilson to just nuke that Vikings defense tomorrow because that Vikings run defense is as good as it gets in the NFL. And I know we ran the ball okay against the Buccaneers. I know we had some success there, and their run defense is incredible too. But the only two teams that have had success running the ball on the Vikings this year are the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Chiefs had a 91-yard run in this game, and the Green Bay Packers. The Packers were able to run the ball a bit on the Vikings. But other than that, their run defense has been incredible. Look at what they did to Ezekiel Elliott on Sunday Night Football a few weeks ago when they played the Cowboys. 20 carries for like 47 yards or something like that. They completely took him out of that game. You can find other games too. I think they shut down Josh Jacobs against the Raiders. Just a really good run defense in Minnesota. So I'm not counting on Carson and I'm not counting on Penny. I know there's a lot of drama in the fan base right now of what's going on with Carson. Is Penny going to take his job? Is who's going to get the most carries? I don't think we're going to find out this week. I think this week is going to be about the passing attack. And in order to enable that, I need Dwayne Brown and Jermaine Ifedi to play monstrous games because they are going up against Everson Griffin and Hunter. Hunter, who is having a tremendous season. Those two defensive ends for the Vikings have combined for, I believe, 15 and a half sacks so far this season, and they have been harassing opposing quarterbacks. So Dwayne Brown and Jermaine Ifedi need to have good games tomorrow because if they can do that, if they can get time for Wilson in the pocket, if they can hold up their blocks against two really good pass rushers in Hunter and Griffin, that secondary for the Vikings is where we can make our bones, in my opinion. They they have some good name players. Anthony Harris is a good safety. Harrison Smith is a good safety. But they have been struggling at cornerback this year, it seems like. And we have seen Marvin Jones Jr. caught, I think, 4 touchdown passes in one game against Xavier Rhodes. Amari Cooper destroyed Xavier Rhodes in that Sunday night game earlier this year. The Vikings won both those games, but the secondary for the Vikings looks very suspect to me. You can find other games too where they got beat up. Rodgers had a good game against them. Derek Carr had a big game against them, although he wasn't able to get very many points on the board. He did have a very effective game. Matt Moore was effective against them. Stafford, I already kind of pointed out Stafford, but Stafford and Dak both had monster games against them. So that secondary against our wide receivers should be where we can make big plays. So we need Lockett to be 100% because he clearly was not last week. We need DK Metcalf to bounce back. He's been up and down lately, as rookies are, but this is the kind of game where we really need the good DK. Josh Gordon, obviously, and continues to get familiar with this offense. Hollister, David Moore, Malik Turner, whoever it may be. I think our receivers are at a big advantage against this secondary. And I thought the same thing last week, but the Eagles secondary played a little better, and the weather kind of seemed to affect things. Weather should not be a big concern tomorrow. We're playing in Seattle. I don't think it's going to rain. I don't think we're going to have extreme wind. So we need to do our damage against that secondary. So offensive line holds up because the Vikings do not get a lot of pressure from their defensive tackles, it seems like. They are a defensive end heavy pass rush. As long as we can get protection for Wilson, he should bounce back. And if you guys want Wilson to win MVP, which of course I do, it's not the most important thing in the world, but I would like Wilson to win MVP if it's there for him. He needs to go off tomorrow because Lamar Jackson did not have a huge game today, but he did get the win against a really good team. He led a game-winning drive, and that is going to look good for him. So if you want Wilson to stay in this MVP race, he needs to have a monster game tomorrow, and he needs to get the win. So I'm feeling good about this, especially now that Thielen's out. It allows us to focus more on Diggs and Cook, but I really need to see what kind of Clowney and what kind of Reed we are going to get, because those two guys are the keys to our pass rush, Clowney and Reed. And they're also the keys to our run defense in many ways. So I need to see those guys play well through their injuries because I know they're not 100%. And, you just need to hope that things, that their their health issues they just hold up. That's all we can hope for. All right, go Hawks. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to eat dinner. Going to watch some of the Sunday night game as well. Going to watch some basketball. See you guys later. Big game tomorrow. We win this game, we are basically in the playoffs at the minimum. And of course, we want more than that. We will discuss that in the coming weeks.